Ipsum from a base in South Africa. And I mean, India, I mean, I don't think that it's possible to I was a classicist once, so even though I abandoned intellectual principle long ago, which was my chief reason for becoming an anthropologist, I still, unfortunately, I'm conditioned by my formation as to what serious scholarship involves. And I think I have a chance with India and none at all with China. But also, I think that China's society is extremely fragile. I think the Western, I mean, essentially, the northern, for the North to extract surplus from the coastal South to build up its empire in the West is a really tricky thing to pull off. And just wait till they have their credit crunch. I mean, 25 million unemployed workers will be taken to the streets immediately. So anyway, that's casual. And I mean, there's a limit. I love Brazil, and actually know it better than India. And I think, I mean, I once fell in love with America, obviously. But now Brazil does for me what America used to do. And India, I can have access to because of the English. So, you know, I mean, I will make sure my daughter learns Mandarin. But I don't aspire to it myself. I also have a policy as a teacher, which is, you know, what can I give this student that will allow me to hitch a ride on his or her life? Because they're going to be going to places I will never go. So you know, I mean, I live vicariously through the life of my students. And they may go to China, who knows? The second question, what was it?
The world.
The world. I really don't like Heidegger. But Heidegger's late metaphysics really do it for me. I mean, they're almost impossible to understand, but I can get enough out of it. And the late metaphysics has three concepts: solitude, world, and finitude. And he says that solitude is the fiction that we are just one thing, self-sufficient. And world is the fiction that everything relative to us has a unity. Neither of these things can possibly be true, but they are in fact dialectically each other's reciprocal. And the self-world pair, the idea of the self as a kind of isolate and the world as having a coherence and unity that is relative to that isolate, these fictions play an important part in shaping how we address life. But the other one is the real thing, which is finitude, which is basically quantum mechanics. It's about position and movement in time-space. That we are, whether we like it or not, located in time-space. And as you know, in quantum mechanics, you can't measure position and movement of an object at the same time. Nevertheless, the position and movement of whoever in real time space is where we always start from. But what I find interesting about his argument is that the constructions of individual and world, if you like, that we make at metaphysical level, imaginative level, shape where we move and position ourselves in real time space. And of course, but those excursions always end up back in finitude. So, I mean, I find that quite inspiring, really. But it shows, you know, that the chief concept of world is everything that is relevant to the life of a person.
Friends, it's difficult to bring this to a close since it feels as though we're at the beginning of something. As you probably noted, the dialectic between self and world defines, and movement between them is what defines Keith's thought, I think, through the arc of his life, and also the desire to claim the status of a prophet as a way of also creating that world. And so I think if it's, depending on where he chooses to do his work, I suppose that will be the leading edge of where it's at, either himself or through his students or his daughter. But it's been a real privilege to listen to you today, and to have the two of you, in case you didn't notice, they're kind of an interesting pairing, representing two generations of scholarship and that converge around the figure of James. And I think that's a very powerful way of thinking about difference and unity, and the kind of significance of James's work and thought and its relevance in terms of how we want to engage with him in the future. Just to say that there is a future to his thought that I hope will enable us here in this context in South Africa to imagine and to engage in a politics of shaping the society and the world that we live in. So a very, very warm thanks to Keith today, and to Keith and Aaron, and to the two of them for enabling this to happen, stimulating this conversation among ourselves. And I do hope that we'll be able to carry on without them, but also that they will return and help us to think about how we might continue to do this work together in the future. Can I also invite you to join us for some food and drink outside the door, and just to give a warm round of applause to